Chosen one. Heaven saw what you did today. You may think it was small, just a quiet act of faith. Just a step no one noticed, but the Spirit wants you to know all of heaven paused. The realm of glory held its breath. The angels leaned forward. Because today, you didn't just obey, you demonstrated a level of surrender that shocked the spirit realm. You didn't wait for confirmation from others. You didn't need applause, validation, or visible reward. You simply heard the whisper of God and said, "Yes, Lord." That yes carried more weight in eternity than you could ever imagine. The moment your heart aligned with His instruction, the timeline of heaven adjusted. The path that once seemed delayed suddenly accelerated. Listen carefully. You may not have seen it, but when you obeyed, the light inside you grew fierce like a flame that suddenly devoured the darkness around it. The enemy expected hesitation. He expected fear. He expected you to talk yourself out of obedience. But instead, you moved. You acted. You trusted. And that simple movement became a roar in the Spirit. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Jeremiah. Chapter 17, verse 7. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in Him. Chosen one. Heaven saw your trust today. While others hesitated in the valley of indecision, you stepped forward. You didn't need the full map, just His voice. That voice became your compass, and your confidence in Him became your covering. Heaven does not celebrate perfection. Heaven celebrates trust. Do you feel that stillness around you right now? That's not coincidence. That's divine acknowledgement. Heaven has paused its motion to honor your faith. Your obedience became an altar, and the fire of God consumed it with approval. You didn't know that your decision today would cause a chain reaction in eternity. But it has. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are chosen, and your obedience is a signal flare that pierced the heavens. The Lord says, "Because you obeyed, I will reveal my hand in ways that will silence every doubt." Beloved, this moment is not ordinary. It's sacred. It's the unfolding of divine alignment. Heaven is arranging encounters, resources, and opportunities that match the weight of your obedience. The same Spirit that hovered over the deep in Genesis is hovering over your life now, bringing order where there was once chaos. Some may look at you and not understand. They might say, "It was just a small step." But heaven disagrees. The spirit realm recognizes obedience as warfare. Every act of obedience is a blow against the enemy's dominion. Every yes you whisper in faith sends tremors into darkness. That's why you've felt pressure before this moment, because hell knew what would happen if you finally obeyed. And you did. You crossed a line that cannot be uncrossed. You've entered into divine momentum. The tests that once repeated will now dissolve, because obedience has broken the cycle. You've proved that your love for God is stronger than fear, than pride, than the opinions of others. That is the mark of a true chosen one. The Spirit wants you to understand this truth. Obedience doesn't just move heaven, it moves you into heaven's rhythm. Today, your steps aligned with the heartbeat of God. That's why everything feels lighter, clearer, more purposeful. You're walking in the current of divine favor. Let the world talk. Let confusion swirl. You, chosen one, stay still before God. Because even now, your obedience is echoing. And soon, what was hidden in silence will become visible glory. You'll see miracles unfold, not because you chased them, but because you obeyed. Listen, this is your moment of divine validation. Not from people, not from platforms, but from the very throne of God. The same God who called Abraham to leave his home, who called Moses to step into the impossible, who called Mary to believe the unbelievable. He looked upon you today and said, "There, that one obeyed." Heaven celebrates you. Angels are rejoicing. The spirit realm has recorded the moment your obedience turned the tide. Beloved, as you read these words, take a deep breath and lift your heart in gratitude. You've made heaven stand still. You've caused the spirit realm to tremble in reverence. And this is just the beginning. Greater revelations, deeper anointings, and divine assignments are now in motion. This message reaches you not by accident, but by divine arrangement. Heaven wanted to make sure you knew what your obedience did today. So before you leave this space, honor heaven's movement. If this message confirms what your spirit already knows, show your faith in action. Like, share, and subscribe to stay connected with these divine messages. And in the comments, type the prophetic number that seals your obedience, 777, the number of divine completion and covenant fulfillment. Your obedience has been witnessed. Heaven has stood still. The spirit realm is in awe. Chosen one. The sound of your obedience did not fade. When the moment passed, it echoed. The Spirit wants you to understand that your yes did not end when you spoke it. Every time you obey, a vibration moves through realms unseen, sending ripples into eternity. What you did today continues to reverberate through the fabric of heaven itself. The echo of your obedience is still being heard. When you said yes, that word became light. And that light traveled faster than any sound in the natural world. It pierced through layers of darkness that had covered generations. It reached the places where prayers once went unanswered. And it whispered to them, "Now is the time." Heaven recognized that sound. It wasn't the sound of fear or doubt, it was the sound of surrender. And surrender carries a frequency that darkness cannot imitate. The echo of your yes broke boundaries you didn't even know existed. Old delays, long-standing hindrances, and invisible walls began to tremble. In the realm of the Spirit, obedience is not measured in words or gestures, it's measured in sound. And the sound of your faith was thunder. As the Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Corinthians, chapter 2, verse 9, "What no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind conceived the things God prepared for those who love him." This verse is more than comfort. It is prophecy fulfilled through your obedience. The things God prepared for you were waiting in stillness, locked behind invisible gates. And today, through the echo of your yes, those gates have opened. What was once hidden is now in motion. You may not see the full picture yet, but in the Spirit, movement has begun. There are angels carrying instructions, blessings, and blueprints to release into your life. They respond not to your tears or even your pain, but to your obedience. When you moved in faith, you activated divine logistics. You positioned heaven's messengers to move on your behalf, and the echo of that yes continues to guide them. A beacon that says, "The one who obeyed is ready." Do not underestimate what that single act has done. Every yes you've given, God has gathered in the Spirit, forming a chain of light that connects your past, your present, and your future. It redeems the times you faltered. It strengthens the path ahead. You may have once doubted whether your faith had meaning, but heaven assures you now it always did. Every act of obedience builds momentum for the next miracle. The echo of your yes has reached hearts you do not know. Somewhere, someone who is watching your journey is gaining courage because of your consistency. You may never meet them, but heaven has already written your name beside theirs, marking the divine connection forged through your faith. And still, the echo continues. It moves beyond time, speaking even to your future self, the version of you that will one day look back and see that this moment was the turning point. The day you obeyed. You aligned yourself with your destiny. You gave God permission to accelerate what was delayed. This is what obedience does. It multiplies. It creates waves of divine cause and effect. It reminds all of creation that the children of God are still listening. Heaven delights when one of its chosen rises up and says, "I will follow even when I don't understand." That sound restores balance to a world grown numb with rebellion. And now, because you obeyed, heaven will amplify your voice, not for fame, but for purpose. You will speak, and people will feel the same vibration that heaven heard when you said yes. They won't know why they listen. They'll simply feel drawn to the light that follows obedience. Do not think the echo has faded. Even in your quiet moments, heaven still hears it. Every time you doubt, remember the resonance that was released. The Spirit does not forget the sound of obedience. It is catalogued in eternity as music before the throne of God. Chosen one. The echo of your yes is your covenant song. It announces to heaven that you can be trusted with divine secrets. It declares to darkness that your allegiance is unshakable. It proclaims to the earth that destiny has begun to unfold. When you feel unseen, remember this: heaven is still replaying your yes. Every time it echoes, another door opens, another heart softens, another promise awakens. The sound of your obedience continues to create divine consequences long after the act itself. That's how powerful faith truly is. So, rest in this truth: what you released through obedience cannot be undone. The echo of your yes is still shaping your tomorrow, still calling forth divine fulfillment, still shaking the spirit realm with holy reverence. Heaven is not finished with what your faith began. Chosen one. Do you realize who noticed your obedience today? Not just heaven, not just the throne, but the angels themselves. For a long time, they stood in quiet observation, watching your hesitation, your tears, your back and forth battles of the heart. But when you finally obeyed, when you did the thing no one else saw, the thing God whispered only to you, the silence of heaven broke. Angelic voices rose in astonishment. They saw you trust when it was hardest. They saw you obey when logic screamed no. And in that moment, something shifted. The angels who had once watched from a distance began to move closer. Because heaven always sends reinforcement where obedience is found. The Word of God declares in the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 7, "The angel of the Lord encamps around those who fear him, and he delivers them." When you obeyed, heaven assigned presence to your path. You may not see them, but right now, angels surround you, not as a metaphor, not as a poetic symbol, but as reality in the unseen realm. They are encamped, stationed with purpose, forming a barrier around you. Every step you take in faith draws them nearer, because obedience builds an atmosphere where the divine can dwell freely. This is why the enemy fought so hard to stop you before this moment. He knew that once you obeyed, heaven's army would be mobilized. Obedience is a command signal that activates angelic motion. It tells the spiritual world, the chosen one has moved, protect the mission. The angels are not merely observers of your life, they are witnesses to your faith and guardians of your calling. When you cried and still obeyed, they bowed in reverence. When you doubted yet stepped forward, they raised their swords. They know the sound of true obedience, and they respond instantly to it. You may think no one noticed your quiet surrender, but in truth, you caused movement in celestial order. Heaven always honors humility. The loudest prayers are not shouted, they are lived out in silent acts of faith. Chosen one, every time you say yes to God, you become a magnet for the miraculous. Angels gather around divine obedience like bees to nectar. They're drawn to purity, to trust, to unwavering faith. And right now, they are not watching idly, they are preparing doors for you, guarding opportunities that you haven't even seen yet. Some of those opportunities require protection, not because they're fragile, but because they are holy. Heaven protects holy things. That's why your obedience was necessary before the blessing. It set the perimeter, consecrating the ground you're about to walk on. So, if you've felt a sudden calm lately, if certain chaos has started to quiet down, it's because heaven's presence has increased around you. Where obedience exists, chaos loses permission to dwell. You've created a sanctuary with your surrender, and in that sacred place, angels minister. They whisper courage when fear creeps in. They stand watch while you sleep. They ensure that the word God has spoken over you will not return void. This is the unseen reward of obedience, divine partnership. Heaven never leaves an obedient heart unguarded. You may not hear them, but the air around you hums with the sound of movement. Each time you pray, the echo of your obedience adds power to your words. The angels hear it. They carry your prayers upward and bring back the answers with precision. Do not dismiss how far you've come. What feels like a simple yes to you has become a trumpet blast in the spirit. It called heaven's army into position. It announced to all of creation, the chosen one is aligned. And because of that alignment, protection, provision, and revelation now surround you like light. This is why some things that used to break you no longer do. This is why certain doors have closed without pain, because heaven is now governing your atmosphere. Your obedience created divine order, and the angels who encamp around you will not allow what is unholy to linger. So walk boldly. Beloved, don't look over your shoulder in fear. Heaven is ahead, behind, beside, and above you. The presence you feel is not imagination, it's confirmation. You are never alone in obedience. The Spirit wants you to rest in this. Every obedient step builds a fortress around your destiny. You are untouchable when you walk in God's will. The same angels that guarded Daniel in the lion's den and Peter in prison are now surrounding you. They are not limited by time, space, or circumstance. They move by faith, and your faith has summoned them. Now, take this moment to acknowledge what heaven has done. Let your heart agree with the realm that celebrates you. The angels who encamp around you are rejoicing, singing songs of victory over your life. You may not hear their melody, but the spirit inside you knows its rhythm. It's the sound of protection, the sound of deliverance, the sound of a chosen one who obeyed. If this word resonates deeply within your spirit, seal it with this declaration. Comment, "I am surrounded." Because that is the truth. Your obedience has built a circle of divine guardianship around your life. You are covered. You are protected. And heaven is still singing your obedience into eternity. Chosen one. While heaven rejoiced, something else stirred in the depths. The moment you obeyed, light erupted, and wherever divine light shines, darkness trembles. Hell itself reacted. The enemy, who once watched you in quiet confidence, believing you would stay entangled in hesitation, suddenly panicked, because obedience is not only a victory for heaven, it is devastation for hell. When you obey, the enemy loses legal ground. Every act of rebellion gives darkness a foothold, but every act of obedience slams the door shut. You may not have realized it, but your yes dismantled something ancient. A stronghold that survived through generations cracked under the power of your surrender. The forces that had whispered lies into your lineage, voices of doubt, fear, and shame fell silent. They could not endure the sound of submission to God. Hell does not fear your strength, it fears your surrender. Because the surrendered heart becomes a weapon in God's hand. The moment you chose to obey, you stopped fighting battles in your own power and started allowing heaven to fight through you. That is what makes darkness tremble. It cannot comprehend a human soul that would rather trust than control. The voice of God thundered in the book of Exodus, chapter 14, verse 14, "The Lord will fight for you, you need only to be still." That is what happened today. You stood still, not in defeat, but in trust. You stopped wrestling with God's timing and started resting in His command. The enemy thrives in chaos, but obedience creates stillness, and stillness exposes him. When you obey, you remove the disguise of fear and reveal his powerlessness. There was a moment in the spirit realm, an instant of shock. Demons that once claimed authority over your peace suddenly had no permission to speak. The agreements of fear were voided. The curses of self-doubt lost access. And in their place, the presence of God took dominion. Your obedience became a decree. This territory belongs to heaven. That territory might be your mind, your home, your future, your relationships, but whatever it is, it has now been reclaimed. Hell cannot touch what obedience sanctifies. You have to understand this truth when God speaks and you obey. You don't just walk away from sin, you overthrow an empire. The kingdom of darkness has built its strategies on human rebellion. Every time someone delays, disobeys, or doubts, that empire strengthens. But when you say, "I will obey," even in trembling, the empire shakes. That is why your battles intensified before this moment. Hell knew what was coming. It saw the gathering of light and tried to distract you, discourage you, and delay your obedience. Every distraction was designed to prevent this exact shift. Yet here you are on the other side of the decision, and the realm of darkness stands in disbelief. You must also know that hell is not simply afraid of your current obedience. It is terrified of your future obedience. Because once you've obeyed once, you've learned the secret trust produces power. And now you can't be manipulated by fear like before. Darkness has lost its control because it no longer understands how to stop you. Chosen one. Hell's fury is proof of your progress. If you've felt strange resistance lately, mental warfare, unexplained fatigue, sudden opposition, it's because your obedience is dismantling ancient thrones. You've become a moving storm in the spirit. Wherever you go, the false structures of darkness collapse. You may not see it, but heaven sees the smoke rising from the ruins of what once held you captive. Every lie you believed about being weak is burning. Every chain forged through fear is melting. Every demonic agreement tied to your past has been cancelled. Your obedience sent a shockwave that shattered the architecture of bondage. But this isn't only about spiritual warfare, it's about restoration. Because when hell loses something, heaven restores it sevenfold. The same areas where you once struggled are about to become places of divine strength. Where you once felt silenced, you will now speak with authority. Where you once felt abandoned, you will now walk with the awareness of heaven's presence. The trembling of darkness means the rising of light. What shook in the unseen will soon manifest in the visible. You will begin to notice sudden peace in places where there was once turmoil. You'll sense ease where there was constant resistance. That is not coincidence, it is the evidence of hell's retreat. And though darkness may attempt to retaliate, do not fear. The Lord who fights for you is not weary. He does not sleep. The same power that split the sea for Moses stands guard over your path. You do not walk unprotected. You walk with the assurance that what was broken behind you can no longer pursue you. Chosen one. Lift your eyes. The ground beneath you has changed. What was once cursed is now consecrated. What once held you in torment now trembles under your feet. The obedience that shocked the spirit realm has also exposed and dismantled the works of darkness. You have become a living threat to hell, a walking reminder that surrender is stronger than sin. So move forward, unafraid. Every step you take echoes with authority. You are not just surviving, you are reigning. Your obedience is the trumpet that announces heaven's dominion and hell's defeat. Let that truth settle deep in your spirit. The war has already shifted in your favor, and your obedience was the turning point. Chosen one. Have you noticed how obedience feels heavy before it becomes holy? The weight of obedience always precedes the wings of breakthrough. Today, heaven calls you to understand the sacred mystery behind that weight, the weight of obedience that separates the ordinary from the anointed. You didn't just follow an instruction, you carried something divine. The reason obedience feels so costly is because it always requires an exchange. You laid down comfort to pick up calling. You surrendered logic to embrace faith. And though your arms trembled under the invisible burden, heaven smiled. Because the load you carried was not punishment, it was purpose in disguise. According to what is revealed in the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 5, trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. Obedience builds the kind of strength that applause never could. It teaches your spirit to trust the unseen hand, and in that trusting, you become a dwelling place for glory. The more you yield, the more heaven can fill you. Beloved, sometimes obedience feels like walking blindfolded through fire, but even the fire serves a purpose. It doesn't burn you, it brands you. It marks you as one who carries heaven's trust. Not everyone can handle that fire, but you were designed for it. You are not being punished, you are being purified. The weight you carry is proof of your assignment. Not everyone feels that pull. that holy heaviness. It's a sign that heaven has entrusted you with something sacred. So when you feel the burden, don't resist it, lift it as worship. Every moment of obedience becomes incense rising before God, and He breathes favor into every sacrifice you make. But let's be honest, obedience can be lonely. Sometimes it feels like you're building something no one else sees, like Noah hammering an ark under a cloudless sky. People may not understand why you're still believing, still sowing, still standing when everything around you screams, quit. But obedience doesn't need agreement, it needs endurance. And you have it. You've proved it. Still, even warriors grow weary. And that's why heaven always sends reminders like this to tell you that your obedience is not unnoticed. And you are not building alone. There are others like you, silent builders, quiet intercessors, unseen givers, people who carry the same fire. You are part of a divine network of faith that spans continents and generations. Chosen one. This message you're hearing right now is part of that network. Every time you listen, every time you share, every time you help it reach another weary heart, you become part of heaven's chain reaction, like one candle lighting another. Your action multiplies the flame. That's why, if this message speaks to your spirit, I want to gently invite you, help this light travel. Like, share, and subscribe, not as a routine click, but as a prophetic gesture, a signal to heaven that you are investing in the flow of divine truth. And for those who feel led by the Spirit, consider sowing into this mission. Your giving is not a transaction, it's participation. When you give, you become the wind beneath this voice, helping it carry the message of light to corners of the earth that still sit in silence. Think of it as water to a seed, small in size, yet powerful in potential. Every drop counts. You're not funding a voice, you're fueling a movement. You're helping create an altar where countless hearts can encounter the same awakening you've felt. When you give, it's not charity, it's partnership with heaven's agenda. And heaven always remembers those who sustain its messages on earth. But even if you can't give, your obedience to share, your willingness to engage, your choice to keep showing up, all of it is seen. It all builds. It all matters. Remember, heaven measures not by the size of the act, but by the sincerity of the heart behind it. So, keep walking, keep trusting, keep building even when no one claps. You're not just following instructions, you're shaping eternity. Every yes you whisper carries the sound of heaven's heartbeat. The potter is still molding you. The fire is still refining you. And the angels are still watching in awe. When you carry the weight of obedience, you carry the future of promises not yet born. It's not just your life being transformed, it's generations being rewritten through your surrender. Chosen one, lift your eyes. The weight you bear today will soon become wings. What feels heavy now will one day help you soar. Stay faithful in the forming. Heaven is closer than you think. And the potter never wastes pressure. Chosen one. Today something deep shifted, not only around you, but within you. You may not have noticed it yet. But a sound was heard in the spirit when you obeyed a breaking sound. It wasn't the sound of defeat, it was the sound of freedom. Chains that had been wrapped around generations shattered because you followed the divine whisper. You may not see the dust of the battle, but heaven does. The strongholds that resisted you for years finally surrendered at the sound of your yes. You have stepped into the realm where obedience is not only faith, it is warfare. Each step you take in surrender crushes invisible resistance. Every time you choose to trust God instead of fear, the past loses its voice. What used to bind you has no authority to touch you anymore. You have become the generation breaker, the one that ends cycles that others simply endured. The ancient words recorded in Romans, chapter 8, verse 2, declare, "Because through Christ Jesus, the law of the Spirit who gives life has set you free from the law of sin and death." That verse isn't distant history, it is your present reality. Today, the Spirit of life is active in you. You no longer move by human limits, you move by divine rhythm. The chains of fear, poverty, self-doubt, and addiction have been declared illegal. Obedience made you a witness to freedom's law in action. Heaven's courtroom has already ruled in your favor. Look closely at your journey. The very thing that once chained you has become your testimony. The very voice that mocked you has gone silent. The enemy's authority depended on your agreement with fear, but you stopped agreeing. You chose obedience, and that broke everything. You've stepped into a new inheritance. It's not just physical blessings, it's spiritual authority. Where once your prayers felt small, now they carry weight. When you speak, heaven listens because obedience amplifies your voice in the Spirit. That's why storms are calming faster. Why confusion is lifting. Why your dreams are sharpening, because obedience restored alignment. Do not underestimate this. When a chosen one obeys, darkness has to refund what it stole, what the enemy took in your childhood, in your confidence, in your relationships. Heaven is already commanding restoration. What you thought was lost was only waiting for your obedience to unlock it. The breaking of old chains is not gentle. It comes with pressure, with stretching, with tears. That's why you felt that sudden heaviness before your breakthrough. It was the resistance of chains that didn't want to let go. But they couldn't withstand what heaven released through your faith. Every crack in your spirit was filled with divine light. The enemy tried to hold the fragments together, but heaven shattered his grip. And now, freedom has a sound, a stillness that hums with divine peace. That peace you feel right now is the echo of victory. You didn't win through shouting or striving. You won through surrender. The angels marked it. Hell acknowledged it. Heaven celebrated it. Chosen one. Let this truth anchor you. Your obedience didn't just open a door, it destroyed a wall. You are walking in ground that your ancestors could only pray for. You are carrying freedom that others longed to taste. You are the living fulfillment of prayers whispered through tears generations ago. Now, the Spirit whispers something else. Heaven is watching to see how you walk in this new liberty. Freedom isn't only release, it's responsibility. What you do with the liberty you've been given will define your legacy. You are not just called to be free, you are called to free others. The same power that broke your chains will now flow through your words, your presence, your testimony. So stand tall. The air around you is charged with new authority. The breaking has made you bold, not by pride, but by revelation. You now understand what it means to be trusted by heaven. God didn't just deliver you, He deputized you. You are heaven's evidence that obedience changes bloodlines. Let this moment be sealed. If this message resonates in your spirit, if you know deep inside that you've stepped into something new, affirm it in the comments below. Type this prophetic number that signifies divine grace multiplied 555. Do it not as a ritual, but as agreement. Heaven moves where agreement exists. The number is not magic, it's a symbol of covenant. When you type it, you're declaring, I receive the grace to stay free, to walk free, to lead others into freedom. You are no longer bound. Beloved, the chains are gone, the weight has lifted, and heaven has declared your name among the liberated. Walk forward in freedom, and let every step echo as proof that obedience still breaks chains in this generation. Chosen one, few knew what you carried in silence. While the world saw another ordinary day, heaven saw a battlefield disguised as routine. The moments that seemed small, the conversation you handled with grace, the decision you made when no one was watching, were not small in eternity. They were tests of obedience that no human eye could measure. But the Spirit did. There are victories that do not make noise. They are won in the quiet places where no applause is heard. Only the sound of your breath trembling as you whisper, Lord, I'll trust you again. Those unseen battles are the truest proof of faith. The test no one saw is often the one heaven celebrates most loudly. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 4, Then your Father, who sees what is done in secret, will reward you. Heaven saw the private moments that nearly broke you, the tears that stained your pillow, the prayers whispered between exhaustion and hope, the silent sacrifices no one thanked you, for none of it was wasted. You didn't realize that each of those moments became incense before the throne of God. Every time you chose patience over pride, forgiveness over bitterness, surrender over control, your obedience lit another flame in heaven's courts. The test no one saw was the one that refined you the most. Public blessings are birthed from private obedience. You passed tests that others failed, not because you were stronger, but because you refused to stop trusting when it didn't make sense. The invisible victories have become your invisible armor. Think about it. Every great soul in Scripture was tested in silence before being trusted in the spotlight. David was anointed in a field before he ever held a crown. Esther fasted in secret before she stood before the king. Joseph obeyed in prison before he interpreted dreams in palaces. Heaven always hides its chosen ones in obscurity before releasing them into influence. You are living in that sacred process. The silence isn't rejection, it's refinement. God hides what he values most until it's ready to shine. If you feel unseen, it's because he's polishing you. If you feel overlooked, it's because you're being preserved. Hiddenness is heaven's way of keeping purity intact while character grows strong enough to carry the weight of destiny. Your hidden obedience is the foundation of your future influence. Every quiet act of integrity has been building something eternal beneath the surface. Others might chase visibility, but you have chosen depth. You've built roots instead of reputation, and heaven prefers roots, because fruit without roots cannot last. Chosen one. There are angels assigned to record unseen victories. Each time you obey in silence, they inscribe it in the book of remembrance. Your hidden faithfulness will one day speak louder than any title, louder than any platform. When God rewards you publicly, people will wonder how it happened so suddenly, but heaven will know it wasn't sudden. It was stored. You see, the waiting room of obedience is never wasted time. It's where heaven tests motives and purifies intentions. It's where God separates what you do for him from what you do with him. In the quiet, He trains your heart to hear his whispers amid the noise. That's why you felt his presence strongest in stillness, because your silence is sacred space to him. Even now, heaven is weaving the unseen threads of your faith into a tapestry of testimony. What feels like delay is divine design. God is ensuring that no part of your journey is wasted, not the pain, not the confusion, not the hidden seasons. Every secret test has a purpose, and that purpose is transformation. Sometimes the test is not about doing more, but about enduring longer, about trusting when the outcome remains unclear, about keeping the right posture even when the promise feels postponed. These are the tests heaven uses to refine gold. The fire doesn't come to destroy, it comes to reveal. When the story of your life is told, the loud moments will inspire, but the quiet moments will define, because that's where you became who you truly are, a vessel of obedience, shaped by secret surrender. And when your reward finally comes, it will not be because of what people saw, but because of what only heaven witnessed. So keep walking faithfully in the quiet. Every prayer you whisper still shakes eternity. Every tear still waters the seed of your future. Heaven has not overlooked a single act of obedience. The Father who sees in secret is already preparing the reward. It may not arrive in the way you imagine. It may come as peace that surpasses understanding, favor you didn't earn, or opportunities no man could open, but it will come. And when it does, you'll realize that every silent test was worth it. You are not waiting in vain. Beloved, you are being written into heaven's hidden history, the one where the unseen becomes the unforgettable. Chosen one. The silence that followed your obedience was not emptiness, it was applause. Not the kind that echoes through halls of men, but the kind that reverberates through the courts of heaven. When you obeyed, the sound rose like thunder, and heaven responded with celebration. You may not have heard the noise, but eternity did. Angels rejoiced, not because you achieved something grand, but because you aligned yourself with divine will. Heaven's applause is unlike any sound on earth. It doesn't rush. It doesn't fade. It resonates. It's made not of clapping hands, but of light, of joy that ripples through creation. The moment you chose obedience, light surged through the angelic realm like a wave. They stood to attention, their songs shifting key, their wings stirring with wonder, because one obedient heart on earth moves heaven more deeply than 1,000 empty prayers. We are reminded through the writings of David in the Psalms. Chapter 103, verse 20, Praise the Lord, you his angels, you mighty ones who do his bidding, who obey his word. This verse isn't merely poetic, it's revelation. The angels themselves obey, and when they witness obedience in a human heart, they recognize their own reflection in it. They understand the cost of surrender. They know the joy of alignment. And so, when you obey, you remind heaven of its own order. You harmonize with divine rhythm. In that moment of harmony, heaven responded. The throne itself acknowledged your act. There are moments when God doesn't speak, he nods. His approval doesn't always come as words, but as presence. The peace that wrapped around you after your obedience, that was his applause. The sudden stillness in your spirit, the inexplicable warmth, the clarity that followed the chaos, those were heaven's standing ovation. Chosen one. You must understand heaven's applause is not for performance, but for posture. God is not impressed by what you build, but by how you bow. You bowed your will to His, and that moved Him. You surrendered without condition, and that created celebration. The Spirit whispered your name through angelic ranks, and they rejoiced, saying, "Another one has chosen trust." Every act of obedience rewrites your atmosphere. The angels who surround you now carry joy in their movements. They carry the fragrance of heaven's praise, because they participated in celebrating your surrender. What you did on earth was not forgotten in the heavens. Heaven's applause is quiet to human ears, but thunderous to the soul. You feel it in moments when you least expect, when you breathe deeply and sense assurance where anxiety once lived. When you wake with peace after nights of wrestling, that's not coincidence. That's heaven's applause echoing softly, reminding you that obedience never goes unnoticed. You may think you did something small, but obedience magnifies smallness into glory. The size of the act never determines its impact, the spirit behind it does. When you moved in faith, you echoed creation's first obedience, "Let there be light." That same sound reverberated through your soul, and heaven responded, and there was. The angels are not distant, they are near, surrounding you in this very moment. Their song continues as they minister peace, protection, and provision. They are heaven's applause in motion, living reminders that your obedience pleased the one who rules all things. Chosen one. Take comfort in this truth. You are not striving for God's approval, you are standing in it. The applause of heaven isn't earned, it's awakened. It awakens when your heart aligns with His. That's why, even in silence, your spirit feels celebrated. You are walking beneath divine favor's spotlight, even if the world cannot see it. The applause of heaven will not fade. It will follow you into your next act of obedience, your next prayer, your next moment of surrender. It will surround you in every trial to remind you that you are already known, already loved, already cheered for by the hosts of heaven. So walk forward with confidence, not arrogance. The sound of heaven's applause accompanies every step. You are not alone on the path, you are escorted by the echoes of joy that your obedience released. Each beat of your heart keeps time with heaven's rhythm. Each breath a note in its song. The angels have not stopped praising. The throne has not turned away. The same God who saw you in your struggle now delights in your surrender. The applause continues, quiet yet constant, a melody only the obedient can hear. Listen closely, and you'll know heaven is still clapping for you. Chosen one. There are scrolls in heaven that bear your name, not scrolls of judgment, but of remembrance. Every act of obedience, every moment of surrender, every time you chose to walk in faith rather than fear, these were not forgotten, they were written. The ink that records your choices is not human, it is light. Heaven keeps account of every moment you chose God when you could have chosen ease. In the unseen realm, there are books filled with the stories of those who obeyed. They are not dusty archives, they are living testimonies that speak even now. And today, your name has been inscribed among them. The moment you obeyed, an angel lifted a pen of fire and wrote in radiant script, "This one obeyed without delay," as was spoken in the sacred texts of old. From the book of Malachi, chapter 3, verse 16. Those who feared the Lord spoke, the Lord listened and heard them. A scroll was written for those who honored Him. Chosen one. The heavens are not silent about you. The very throne room has taken notice. What you thought was unseen, devotion has been catalogued in the archives of eternity. Heaven remembers not only what you've done, but why you did it, the motive behind your obedience, the love behind your sacrifice. The scroll of remembrance is not a metaphor. It's the eternal record of lives that reflected divine obedience on earth. Every page is luminous, glowing with the testimony of faith-filled acts. And now, because of your surrender, your light joins theirs. You may wonder, why does heaven record these moments? Because obedience is eternal currency. What you do in faith today will echo in eternity tomorrow. The Lord doesn't forget a single detail. Every whispered prayer, every silent offering, every step of trust is recorded as worship. You may forget your moments of surrender, but heaven never does. There are angels whose purpose is to oversee these records. They mark your progress, record your victories, and ensure that your obedience receives its reward. They do not record perfection, they record persistence. Heaven honors not those who never fall, but those who rise again and keep trusting. This is why your obedience carries so much weight. It's not a moment, it's a memorial. Every act of faith builds an altar in the unseen. And when heaven looks upon that altar, it sees devotion that cannot be erased. There will come a day when the scroll will be unrolled, and what you did in faith will speak louder than words ever could. Your story will be read aloud in heaven's assembly, not to glorify you, but to glorify the one who strengthened you to obey. The applause that began when you obeyed will rise again when your record is revealed. Chosen one, the pages of your obedience are still being written. Every new step, every new act of surrender adds another line of light. The book is not finished, it is alive. Your next yes will turn another page. Your next prayer will ink another testimony. Heaven eagerly awaits what comes next. Understand this, the enemy cannot erase what heaven records. He may accuse, he may distort, but he cannot delete. The scrolls of remembrance are sealed with divine authority. Your obedience is protected. Your record is untouchable. When you feel weary or unseen, remember that heaven is still writing. When you doubt whether your faith matters, remember that your obedience is already echoing in eternity. God Himself has heard and documented your devotion. And though you may not yet see the full fruit of what you've sown, you will. The time will come when heaven's reward intersects with earthly manifestation. The book that's being written about your obedience will unfold in miracles, in open doors, in blessings you didn't even know to ask for. Your life is becoming a living scroll, a testimony of divine partnership between Creator and creation. Each act of obedience is inked in heaven, and each page declares, "Faith was found here." Let this truth anchor you. Your obedience is eternal. It will outlast the seasons, the critics, the doubts. It will echo beyond your years, blessing generations to come. Heaven has written it, and heaven will honor it. And now, as a prophetic act of agreement with what heaven has recorded, let your voice echo the inscription written above your name. In the comments below, type, "It is written." Do not take those words lightly, they mirror heaven's declaration. When you write them, you're aligning your earthly confession with heaven's record. You are declaring that your obedience is permanent. Your faith is sealed, and your story is being told in light. Chosen one, the scroll of remembrance bears your name. Heaven is still turning the pages, and eternity is still applauding the sound of your yes. Chosen one, what happens when heaven writes your obedience into its eternal scroll? A mantle descends, invisible to human eyes but radiant in the spirit. It settles over your shoulders, the mantle of authority. Not authority of control, but of influence, not power for dominance, but grace for purpose. Heaven rewards trust with responsibility. And today, you've been clothed in something new. Every time you obey, God doesn't just change your circumstances, He changes your status. Your name begins to carry weight in the unseen realm. Demons recognize it, angels respond to it, and heaven begins to align doors, people, and timing around the mantle that rests upon you. The Apostle reminds us in his second letter to Timothy, chapter 2, verse 21, those who cleanse themselves from dishonor become instruments for special purposes, holy, useful, and prepared for good work. You, beloved, have become such an instrument. Through obedience, you've been purified, set apart, and marked. The mantle upon you is not made of fabric, it is woven of faith and refinement. It is the evidence that heaven now trusts you with tasks others were not ready to carry. Imagine this mantle like a robe woven from the threads of every yes you've spoken. Each fiber glows with the light of surrendered moments, the nights you chose prayer instead of bitterness, the mornings you rose again after disappointment. It drapes over you not to make you superior, but to make you useful. Heaven clothes its servants in humility, for humility amplifies divine authority. You might feel unqualified. You might still see yourself through the lens of past mistakes, but the mantle doesn't rest on perfection, it rests on willingness. God doesn't place it on those who are flawless, He places it on those who are faithful. And you, chosen one, have been faithful. The mantle carries both weight and warmth. It reminds you that heaven's authority is not meant to crush, but to comfort. It is both a burden and a blessing, like fire that burns but also illuminates. Under it, you walk differently, you speak differently, you discern differently. You no longer move by emotion, but by unshakable conviction. Yet remember this, every mantle must be maintained. Authority without intimacy becomes arrogance. Power without prayer becomes pride. You must stay close to the one who placed it upon you. For the mantle is alive, it breathes through relationship. Neglect it, and it grows heavy. Nurture it, and it expands. This is why spiritual connection matters. Messages like this are not just words, they're mirrors, reminders, alignments. They keep your mantle clean, your heart anchored, your purpose alive. The voice you're hearing now is not just narrative, it's nourishment. If this message has stirred your spirit, if it's confirmed something you've quietly felt, then consider this your moment to pour back into what pours into you, like a lamp that burns brightest when refilled. This channel of light stays alive through hearts that care. When you like, share, or subscribe, you're not performing an action, you're participating in an exchange. You're saying, keep the flame burning. Every interaction becomes oil that fuels this ongoing work. When you share, you're spreading the light to someone else sitting in darkness. When you subscribe, you're choosing to stay connected to a voice that reminds you of your divine identity. And for those who feel a deeper pull, who sense the Spirit whispering, help sustain this altar. There is also a way to give, not out of obligation, but out of alignment. Donation isn't charity, it's covenant. It's your seed planted into a voice that heaven uses to awaken his chosen ones. Think of it as rain to a field you might never see, every harvest that springs from it. But you will feel the atmosphere shift. Each offering becomes a ripple that carries truth further than your own hands could reach. There's someone somewhere waiting to hear the same reminder that set you free, and your seed helps it find them. Whether you give a word of encouragement, a share, or a gift of substance, do it as worship. Give because heaven gave to you first. Give because the mantle on your life is too radiant to stay hidden. Every gesture, every act of support keeps the light alive in this space and beyond. Chosen one, this is not a demand, it's an invitation to partnership, to keep the fire that ignited your faith glowing for others still searching for theirs. You've been mantled not just to carry the presence of God, but to multiply it. So wear your mantle with reverence. Let it remind you that every word you speak, every choice you make, carries spiritual resonance. The same heaven that placed it on you is watching how you use it to heal, to lead, to give, to serve. You are clothed in divine responsibility. You are wrapped in trust. You are walking proof that obedience still attracts authority. Keep the mantle pure. Keep the fire burning. And keep giving light where the world has grown cold. Chosen one, the sound of your obedience is still traveling through the realms of creation. But now, it moves differently. It no longer simply announces breakthrough for you. It has become a signal, a pulse of divine vibration that radiates outward, touching lives you haven't even met yet. This is the ripple effect of obedience, the way one act of trust sets miracles in motion far beyond your sight. When you obeyed, you opened a channel. Through that channel, heaven began to move blessings not only toward you, but through you. The Spirit never works in isolation. Every obedient heart becomes a bridge for others. What began as a whisper in your private room has now become a wave moving across generations. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 19, verse 18. Yet I reserve 7,000 in Israel, all whose knees have not bowed to Baal and whose mouths have not kissed him. This verse carries a hidden truth. You are not alone. Your obedience connects you to countless others chosen for this same hour. Just as Elijah thought he was the last one standing, you too may have felt isolated in your faith, but heaven has networks unseen by human eyes. You are part of a remnant, a collective of burning hearts whose obedience creates a symphony of redemption. You see, your yes to God was never just about you. It was about others who are still trapped in hesitation, still waiting for a sign that faith works. Your obedience became that sign. Somewhere, someone saw your courage, felt your calm, and it sparked hope in them. They may never tell you, but heaven has recorded the moment your light touched theirs. The ripple effect of obedience doesn't shout. It moves quietly through spiritual currents, like a stone cast into still water. Your act of faith sent circles expanding outward. The first ripple reached your family, chains began to loosen. Hearts softened. Conversations shifted. The next ripple touched your surroundings, your workplace, your friends, even strangers who felt peace when you entered the room. Then, ripples reached further into regions, nations, unseen destinies. You may think your influence is small, but heaven sees the distance your obedience travels. A word you spoke in kindness today may save a soul tomorrow. A prayer whispered in secret may shield a generation yet unborn. The smallest step of obedience carries eternal consequence, because obedience aligns you with God's flow, and everything connected to that flow is blessed. Chosen one. Remember the 5 loaves and 2 fish. It was one act of obedience that fed thousands. God multiplies what's surrendered, not what's withheld. You gave him your yes, and now he's multiplying its impact in ways you may never witness. The seeds you sow through obedience take root in the soil of eternity. Some will bloom in your lifetime, others long after you've gone, but all will bear fruit. Heaven's mathematics are not like ours. One act of faith outweighs 1,000 acts of logic. What seems small on earth can tip the scales in eternity. You've done more through obedience than you could ever achieve through effort alone, because obedience carries God's breath, and whatever he breathes upon expands beyond measure. Sometimes you may not see the results right away. The waters of obedience ripple slowly, but they never stop moving. Even when you feel unseen, your influence continues to flow. You've become a current of grace in motion, and heaven is guiding its direction. There are people whose lives will be transformed simply because you existed, because you obeyed. The Holy Spirit will bring them across your path at the appointed time. Some will find freedom through your story. Others will find healing through your words. A few will find faith simply by watching how you live. That's how heaven uses obedience. It turns ordinary people into living vessels of transformation. And yet, these ripples are not meant to make you proud. They are meant to make you aware. You carry a responsibility now to guard what God has entrusted to you. Every ripple carries your reflection. Every wave bears your signature of surrender. The world is reading your life like scripture written in motion. Chosen one. Take a moment to realize how far your obedience has traveled. The peace that now rests upon you was once someone else's ripple. Generations of faithful believers obeyed before you, creating the river you now walk in. Their prayers built bridges for your steps. And now, your obedience builds paths for others. This is how heaven works, faith flowing through time like water, each act sustaining the next. You are part of a continuum of glory. The light that entered you does not stop with you, it must pass through you. The Spirit is not stagnant, he is moving. And through your obedience, he moves further. You've become a vessel of divine momentum. So continue walking faithfully. Don't underestimate the quiet moments or the unseen choices. Heaven measures influence not by visibility, but by obedience. Every time you follow the whisper, the world shifts a little closer to redemption. Every ripple you send forward carries hope, healing, and holiness. And one day, when you stand before the throne, you'll see it all: the faces, the souls, the moments that changed because of your obedience. You'll see how far the ripples reached, how wide the current flowed, and you'll realize that every yes, every tear, every moment of trust was worth it. The ripple you started still moves. Chosen one, it will continue long after you're gone, for in the river of obedience, there is no end, only expansion. Chosen one, heaven wants you to understand a mystery. Obedience is not just surrender, it is warfare. The enemy does not fear your prayer alone, nor your worship, nor your declarations. What he fears most is your obedience, because obedience is action wrapped in faith. Movement clothed in submission. It is the place where your authority is proven, and his authority collapses. When you obey, you tear down altars that rebellion once built. You unseat principalities that have grown comfortable in disobedient generations. The kingdom of darkness cannot thrive where obedience reigns, because obedience is divine alignment, and alignment brings dominion. You may think you were simply following an instruction, but in truth, you were striking at the core of spiritual resistance. The Word of God declares in the book of James, chapter 4, verse 7, "Submit yourselves therefore to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you." Most people focus on the second half of that verse, resisting the devil, but heaven is teaching you the power of the first half. Submission comes before resistance. Obedience gives your resistance authority. Without submission, there is no victory. But when you obey, the enemy has no choice but to flee, for he recognizes the seal of divine order upon your life. Chosen one. When you obeyed, heaven's armies moved as one. The Spirit took your yes and forged it into a weapon sharper than any blade. Every whisper of obedience became a strike of light. Demonic fortresses that had stood for years began to crumble. You didn't need to fight in the natural, because your obedience fought for you in the supernatural. Understand this truth. Obedience itself is a strategy of heaven. When God says go, and you go. You disarm the enemy before battle begins. When he says, wait, and you wait. You starve the enemy of opportunity. Every act of obedience confuses the darkness, because hell cannot predict a heart that follows God's voice without question. This is why you've faced unusual warfare before every breakthrough. The pressure you felt was not random, it was retaliation. The enemy always strikes hardest before you move in obedience, hoping to keep you bound in hesitation. But once you obeyed, the spiritual tides shifted. Heaven's command was executed, and the adversary lost his hold. Even now, there are unseen victories happening because of what you've done in faith. You may not feel the full effect yet, but the Spirit wants you to know the battle has already been won. Your obedience was the final blow. Some battles are not won through shouting, they are won through silence. Some victories do not come through confrontation but through surrender. You have learned this wisdom. You have fought not by sword, but by spirit. And heaven calls that victory. Chosen one. This is your new posture, peace that confuses the enemy. While darkness expected panic, you stood still. While chaos expected fear, you stood firm. Obedience became your shield, faith your armor, and worship your weapon. That's why no arrow could pierce you. The Lord himself became your defense. Do you understand now why the enemy hates your obedience so fiercely? Because every time you obey, he loses territory. Every time you surrender, he loses a soldier. Every time you trust, his accusations lose power. You have become a living declaration that submission is strength, not weakness. The Spirit whispers, you are learning to fight my way, no longer through striving, but through surrender, no longer through argument, but through alignment. And in this posture, you have become unstoppable. Your obedience sends messages through realms unseen. The child of God is awake. Your light no longer flickers, it burns. Your yes no longer trembles, it commands. You are walking proof that a heart yielded to heaven can dismantle the structures of hell. So when the warfare comes again, and it will remember what you've already learned. The enemy cannot touch what is fully yielded. The moment you choose obedience, his chains dissolve. His threats are loud but hollow. For authority rests not in noise, but in nearness to God. Keep walking in this rhythm. Keep letting your obedience speak louder than fear. Every instruction you follow becomes another victory recorded in heaven's archives. And now, to mark this moment, the Spirit invites you to seal what obedience has established. Type this prophetic number in the comments below, 888. Do it as a declaration of new beginnings and divine renewal. The number 8 symbolizes resurrection, new creation, and infinity, a cycle broken and a new one born. By writing it, you are proclaiming, "My obedience has birthed something eternal. The battle is over, and I walk in newness." You've entered a new rhythm of war, one fought not with striving, but with stillness, not with shouting, but with surrender. You are not just a soldier, you are a vessel of divine order, carrying the authority of heaven itself. And every time you obey, heaven wins again. Remember this. Chosen one obedience is not the end of battle, it is the weapon that ends all battles. And through it, you will always stand victorious. Chosen one. There are moments in heaven when silence means awe, when the Father looks upon the earth and sees trust that cannot be shaken, obedience that does not waver, devotion that costs everything, and he smiles. Today, heaven smiled at you, not because of perfection, but because of purity. You have reached the moment where your obedience has moved from duty to delight. There is a difference between obeying because you must and obeying because you love. The first flows from fear. The second flows from relationship. And today, you crossed that invisible line. You no longer obey to avoid punishment. You obey because you desire his pleasure. That is the highest form of love, the kind that chooses alignment even when no reward is visible. As Jesus himself declared in the Gospel of John, chapter 14, verse 15, "If you love me, keep my commandments." Those words were never about control, they were about communion. The language of heaven is not rules, it's relationship. God never wanted servants who perform, he wanted sons and daughters who respond. And you, chosen one, have begun to understand that love is the engine of true obedience. When you obey out of love, everything shifts. The burden becomes light. The cost becomes joy. The sacrifice becomes song. What once felt like pressure now feels like peace. That is the transformation happening in you. Obedience has become worship. Heaven smiled because your heart no longer negotiates with instruction, it rests in it. You no longer resist divine guidance, you welcome it. You've stopped saying, "Why me?" and started saying, "Use me." That change in tone echoes louder in the spirit than any sermon ever preached. There are people who follow orders, yet never draw near. And there are those who walk close enough to hear whispers, and you, beloved, are among them. You no longer need thunder to move. A whisper is enough. That's intimacy. That's maturity. Think of a musician tuning an instrument. At first, every adjustment sounds harsh, strings tighten, tension rises. But once alignment is reached, the instrument no longer resists the hand, it harmonizes. You have reached that harmony. Your will and God's will now move as one. The friction has turned to flow. That is why you've begun to sense calm even amid chaos. You are not reacting to storms anymore. You are resonating with heaven's stillness. You've learned that obedience doesn't always prevent the storm, but it anchors you through it. The smile of heaven is not given to those who avoid struggle, but to those who remain steady inside it. Chosen one. Every trial you faced refined your love. The pain you endured stripped away fear until only trust remained. You've learned to love him not for what he gives, but for who he is. That is the secret language of saints, the melody of true devotion. Heaven smiled because you no longer obey for outcome, you obey for intimacy. You've discovered that obedience is not the road to blessing, it is the blessing. The nearness you feel now, that quiet companionship of the Holy Spirit, that is your reward. You may have noticed lately that certain things which once thrilled you no longer do. The noise of the world feels distant. The applause of people feels empty. That's not loss, it's evolution. You're transitioning from outer validation to inner communion. When God's smile becomes enough, everything else finds its rightful place. There is a glow that surrounds the ones who reach this place, a peace that confuses understanding, a steadiness that cannot be imitated. It is not pride, it is presence. Heaven rests upon those who live from love. The Spirit of God delights to dwell where obedience flows freely. Every act of love-filled obedience becomes fragrance in the Spirit. The angels call it the aroma of devotion. It rises, invisible yet unmistakable, until it fills the throne room. And when it does, heaven smiles again, because obedience born of love reminds creation of its original harmony. The smile of heaven doesn't mean the absence of challenge, it means the assurance of companionship. The Father's gaze upon you is not distant, it is near. His approval is not earned, it is experienced. Every time you say yes, he draws closer. Every time you trust, he leans in. Do you feel that warmth around your spirit now? That subtle comfort that comes even as you read these words? That's his smile made tangible. It's how heaven says, "Well done. You have turned obedience into communion." Keep walking in that grace. Don't rush ahead of his timing or lag behind his leading. Stay in step with his rhythm. The smile of heaven is not a single moment. It's a continual presence that follows those who love him wholeheartedly. Chosen one, this is your reward, not just answered prayers, but abiding presence, not just provision, but partnership. You have entered the stage of divine friendship, and once heaven smiles on a soul, the world can do nothing to erase it. Walk knowing that you are seen, celebrated, and sustained by the one who delights in your surrender. The Father's smile is upon you, and it will never fade. Chosen one, the deeper your obedience grows, the hotter the fire becomes. But do not mistake this fire for punishment, it is refinement. Every soul destined for glory must pass through this sacred flame. It is not the fire of destruction, but of purification. The world fears fire, but heaven uses it. It is the divine forge where character is strengthened and purpose is purified. The Spirit of God does not waste pain. The fire is never random, it is targeted, precise, and purposeful. It burns only what cannot enter eternity. Every spark that touches you has been permitted by the hand of the refiner, not to consume you, but to complete you. Heaven speaks clearly through the words in the book of Zechariah, chapter 13, verse 9. This third I will put into the fire. I will refine them like silver and test them like gold. They will call on my name, and I will answer them. I will say, they are my people. And they will say, the Lord is our God. These words reveal the divine exchange taking place in you right now. The refiner does not step away during the process. He leans closer. The closer the fire, the nearer his face. You may feel the heat of trial, the sting of loss, or the sharp edge of surrender. But through it all, his eyes never leave you. Chosen one. Gold does not fear the fire, it expects it, because only the fire proves its purity. The same flame that destroys straw purifies treasure. You are not being burned, you are being revealed. Each test exposes impurities that cannot coexist with your destiny. Pride, doubt, resentment, fear, all these melt away until only reflection remains. And when the refiner can see his own image in the gold, he knows the process is complete. You've been wondering why the seasons have felt intense, why the cost of obedience has increased, why you seem to walk through tests others never face. It is because heaven is refining you for higher purpose. What others can carry casually, you must carry consecrated. Your fire is fierce because your calling is weighty. Do not curse the heat, it is your making. The very moments that make you weep are shaping your weaponry. The pain you endure now will one day become the power you release. The flames are crafting you into a vessel that can withstand greater glory. In the fire, heaven teaches its deepest lessons. You learn that peace is not the absence of heat, but the presence of trust. You discover that God's silence does not mean distance, it often means focus. The refiner is quietest when he is watching most closely. Chosen one. You are being polished for a higher dimension of influence. The fire removes dullness from your spirit so that your light can shine with unfiltered brilliance. Each trial refines your discernment, sharpens your hearing, strengthens your compassion. You are being prepared to carry revelation that others are not yet ready to bear. You may feel like everything comfortable is being stripped away, but that's because comfort cannot coexist with calling. God is removing distractions that once diluted your devotion. He's teaching you to find joy not in ease, but in endurance. The greater the fire, the greater the shine. Remember this truth: silver does not purify itself. It rests in the hands of the one who knows its value. You are in those hands now. The fire cannot last longer than he allows. The moment its purpose is fulfilled, the flame will fade, and you will emerge stronger, purer, and freer than before. The Spirit wants you to see beyond the smoke. Every ember you walk through now will become light for someone else later. The wounds of refinement will become the wisdom of leadership. The scars you bear will become maps of deliverance for those who follow. Heaven refines before it releases. You are in the final stages of preparation. And though the pressure is heavy, the reward is holy. When this process ends, you will not resemble who you once were. The fragrance of the fire will not cling to you, only the radiance of glory. Chosen one. You are not breaking, you are becoming. The heat is temporary, but the purity is eternal. The pain has purpose, and the purpose has promise. One day soon, the refiner will look upon you and say, "It is finished." And you will understand that every flame was love in disguise. So do not resist the refining. Let the fire do its perfect work. What is being purified in you will soon shine with a brilliance that darkness cannot withstand. You are the vessel of his image, forged in faith, tempered by trial, and prepared for divine display. The fire is not your end, it is your unveiling. And when you emerge, even heaven will marvel at the glow. Chosen one. When gold finally leaves the fire, it shines differently, it carries memory within its glow. You are standing in that same place now, emerging from refinement, holding authority wrapped in gentleness, carrying revelation wrapped in humility. Heaven has not only purified you, it has prepared you. And now, the Spirit whispers of something new assignment. You have graduated from private testing to public purpose. The weight you once called pain was training for the responsibility of carrying light into dark places. You are no longer being prepared for blessing. You have become the blessing. Your presence now shifts rooms. Your words now carry atmosphere. Your walk now changes the spiritual climate around you. The Apostle reminds us in his letter to the Ephesians, chapter 2, verse 10, we are God's handiwork, created in Christ Jesus to do good works, which God prepared in advance for us. This verse isn't just a reminder, it's a revelation. Heaven wrote your tasks long before you breathed your first breath. Every trial, every silence, every delay was shaping you to walk in those prepared works. The time of shaping is giving way to the time of shining. The assignments that once waited in the shadows are now stepping forward, calling your name. Chosen one. You've been entrusted with divine work, but not the kind measured in titles or applause. This is sacred labor speaking life into despair, extending mercy where others withdraw, carrying peace into chaotic spaces. Your assignment may not come with a spotlight, it may come in whispers, in quiet callings, in the nudges that tell you, that person needs hope. That is how heaven sends you now, as a soft torch in dark corridors. The fire you survived has now become the light you carry. You are the lamp lit by obedience, and the Spirit breathes upon your flame so it may not flicker out. But remember, every flame needs air, and every light needs fuel. That fuel is connection remaining close to what keeps your fire alive. That is why voices like this one matter. Every word spoken under the breath of heaven exists to feed the flame in you, to remind you of who you are and what you carry. When you return here, it is like coming to a well in the wilderness, a place where thirsty hearts drink again from the living stream. If this message stirs something within you, if it reminds you of your calling, let that stirring find expression. Share it like a seed, scatter it. Every time you like, share, or subscribe, you are not performing a gesture, you are spreading light. You are saying, let this truth reach another weary heart. It's a ripple of ministry that stretches further than you imagine. And for those who feel a deeper pull, those who sense heaven whispering, help sustain this light. There is sacred meaning even in giving. When you donate, you aren't just supporting a voice, you're building an altar. Each seed sown helps the message reach one more lost soul, one more broken believer, one more chosen one who doesn't yet know they are chosen. Think of it like a lighthouse on a rocky shore. The beam doesn't burn brighter by accident, it burns because unseen hands tend the flame. Your support, your prayers, your engagement, they are those hands. Together, we keep the light steady in the storm. You might think you're offering, whether time, prayer, or resource is small, but heaven never measures size, only sincerity. A candle shared can ignite 1,000 more without losing its glow. Every action you take to keep this fire alive is a partnership with the very message that once revived you. You are part of something holy. A circle of obedience stretching across nations and languages. Each act of sharing, each thoughtful comment, each gift given in faith, these are not mere digital gestures, they are spiritual exchanges. They carry weight in eternity. And when you write beneath this message, when you share what touched you, you give heaven a platform to speak through your testimony. Someone scrolling in silence may read your words and feel seen for the first time. That's how God multiplies obedience through community, through courage, through small acts of faithfulness. So, beloved, if these words remind you of who you are, take a moment, comment what the Spirit awakened in you. Let heaven use your voice as the echo that awakens another. The flame in you was never meant to burn alone. Your new assignment begins not in noise, but in nurture. It starts with one act of faith, one word spoken, one prayer released, one step forward. Heaven will take care of the rest. You've come so far. The mantle on your shoulders is secure. The fire within you steady. The smile of heaven still warm upon your spirit. Now, let the light you carry do what it was meant to do. Illuminate. Keep walking. Chosen one. Keep shining. Keep sharing what set you free. And know this, as long as you pour out what you've received, heaven will never stop refilling you. Chosen one. The refining has ended. The mantle has settled. And your purpose has awakened. Now heaven turns its attention to what is being prepared for you beyond this season, the crown of the obedient. It is not made of gold or jewels, but of glory. It cannot be seen by human eyes. Yet it shines so brightly in the Spirit that even angels step back in reverence when it descends. This crown is not a reward for achievement, but for alignment. It rests only on those who have chosen obedience when it cost everything. It is the mark of those who said yes when no one else would. You have become one of them, the crowned ones, those who mirror the King through their surrender. We find in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 11, "Hold on to what you have, so that no one takes your crown." That is heaven's instruction to you now. Not a warning born of fear, but of tenderness. The Father is saying, "Guard what I've placed upon you." For the crown of obedience can only be sustained by continued surrender. The moment pride replaces humility, the radiance begins to fade. But as long as love remains your motive, the crown shines brighter with every act of faith. This crown represents completion, the full circle of divine formation. Obedience led you through the valley, through the furnace, through the refining, until your spirit matched heaven's rhythm. The trials didn't break you, they revealed you. Every test you endured was another facet being polished, another gem being set in your crown. You didn't just survive, you became luminous. Heaven crowns obedience because it reflects the image of the Son. Jesus himself wore the crown of surrender long before he wore the crown of glory. His obedience to the Father changed eternity. And when you obey, you reflect that same divine pattern. You've shared in his suffering, now you share in his radiance. Chosen one. This crown is invisible to those who live by sight, but not to those who live by spirit. Wherever you go, the atmosphere responds to it. Doors open without explanation. Opposition bends without argument. You are recognized not by your name, but by your light. Even when you walk into places unaware of your authority, heaven's presence announces you before you speak. But remember, the crown is not for vanity, it is for victory. Its purpose is not to elevate you, but to empower you to lift others. The authority it carries is gentle, not boastful. It is the authority of those who lead through compassion, who restore through grace, who conquer through kindness. You may feel unworthy of such honor, but heaven's crowns are not given to the flawless, they are given to the faithful. Worthiness was never earned, it was bestowed through love. God saw your quiet sacrifices, your silent endurance, your unrecorded obedience, and He deemed you ready. Now the Spirit whispers, "You are my royal witness." You walk not as a servant trying to please, but as a child already approved. The crown upon your life is not a prize to be displayed, but a calling to be lived. Each day you wear it through humility, through mercy, through the calm authority that comes from knowing who your Father is. There will be moments when the world will not understand your peace. They will mistake your stillness for weakness, your gentleness for naivety. But heaven knows. The crowned ones fight differently, they battle in silence. They win through patience. They reign through love. Chosen one, you are entering the stage where influence flows without effort. You no longer chase destiny, it moves toward you. What was once delayed is now drawn by divine gravity. The obedience that birthed your crown has positioned you to receive things that human striving could never produce. Do not be afraid of the responsibility that comes with it. Every crown carries weight, but it is a holy weight, the kind that steadies your steps rather than burdens them. The Spirit Himself will teach you how to walk with grace, how to lead with gentleness, how to carry heaven's glory without letting it crush your humanity. The crown you wear is not an ending, it's a beginning. It signifies the birth of divine partnership. You are no longer merely following God. You are walking beside Him in purpose. The season of learning has turned into a season of reigning, not over people, but over fear, over doubt, over every remnant of darkness that once dared to whisper your name. So walk in quiet majesty. Beloved, you don't need to announce what you carry. The atmosphere already knows. You don't need to prove your authority. The Spirit confirms it. The light upon you speaks louder than any title could. You are heaven's ambassador, crowned not by ceremony, but by endurance. And as you continue to walk this path, remember the crown is not meant to be guarded alone. It shines brightest when you kneel in gratitude, when you lift it in worship, when you use it to point others back to the King. For every crown in heaven ultimately reflects His chosen one. Heaven has reached the moment of sealing. What began as a whisper has become a declaration, and the declaration has become destiny. The Spirit now bends close to mark this chapter with its final imprint, the prophetic seal. It is the moment where all the obedience, the fire, the tears, the silence, and the surrender converge into a single truth. You are not the same. You have been transformed, sealed by divine intention, and your story has been rewritten in heaven's ink. The Apostle reminds us in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 22, He anointed us, set His seal of ownership on us, and put His Spirit in our hearts as a deposit, guaranteeing what is to come. That seal, beloved, is upon you now. It is invisible to the world, but unmistakable in the spirit realm. Heaven recognizes it, hell fears it, It is the sign that you belong wholly to the King, that your life, your time, your destiny, and even your pain have been claimed by divine ownership. You are no longer wandering, you are marked for purpose. The prophetic seal is more than a symbol, it is a covenant. It signifies that everything God promised will come to pass, not because of your perfection, but because of His possession. The seal means the matter is settled. The enemy may roar, circumstances may shift, but the outcome has already been decreed. You are sealed for victory, not for struggle. This seal also carries identity. It tells every spiritual power who you are and whose you are. There is authority now embedded in your presence. You no longer speak from effort, but from essence, from the spirit within you that bears heaven's signature. Wherever you walk, that seal speaks silently. This one carries the King's mark. Do you understand the depth of that reality? Chosen one, you are not merely a believer, you are a bearer. You carry evidence of the eternal covenant. The Spirit within you is not visiting, He is residing. You are the dwelling place of the divine. When heaven sealed you, it wasn't simply claiming ownership, it was installing presence. You felt that presence in quiet moments, the sudden peace when everything should have been chaotic, the warmth that calms your spirit without reason, the gentle assurance that says, "You're not lost, you're led." That is the seal in motion. It's heaven's way of reminding you that you no longer walk as ordinary. And because you are sealed, no counterfeit can replace you. The world can mimic talent, appearance, and success, but it cannot counterfeit anointing. The seal cannot be duplicated. It carries heaven's exact fingerprint, unique to you. The assignment upon your life is secure, and no hand of darkness can tamper with what God Himself has stamped. Chosen one. The prophetic seal also means your timeline is protected. Delays may come, but detours will still lead you home. The hand that sealed you is the same hand that guides you. Every closed door, every shifted plan, every unexpected turn, they all serve the purpose of protection. When God seals something, He guards it, and you, beloved, are guarded. This is why peace has settled over you in ways you cannot explain. You no longer strive to prove yourself, because sealed things don't compete, they simply exist in authority. You no longer chase validation, because heaven's seal already carries your validation. Your worth is not fluctuating with opinions, it is anchored in eternity. The prophetic seal also signifies completion and continuation all at once. Completion, because the chapter of striving has ended. Continuation, because destiny now unfolds with clarity. The seal doesn't end your journey, it guarantees it. You will still walk through valleys, but they will not own you. You will face storms, but they will serve you. For everything sealed by heaven carries built-in victory. Chosen one, you may still feel unworthy of this mark, but grace has always anointed the undeserving. That's the mystery of divine selection. Heaven chooses the unlikely so that glory cannot be mistaken. You were chosen not because you were flawless, but because you were willing. The seal affirms that your willingness was enough. So now, as heaven stands witness, receive this truth deeply. You are sealed for destiny. No voice can unwrite what God has written. No force can unmark what heaven has marked. The Spirit within you is both promise and proof that you will finish what you were born to begin. Walk in quiet confidence. The seal is not a badge of superiority, it's a sign of surrender fulfilled. You have reached the place where heaven's will and your heart have become one. Every step forward now carries the fragrance of finality and the certainty of divine completion. This is your prophetic seal. Chosen one, the eternal mark that says, "It is done," and it is yours. Chosen one, you've reached the end of this message, but not the end of your becoming. What began as words has become awakening. What entered as revelation now remains as reality. Heaven has whispered truth into the chambers of your spirit, and that truth will continue to echo long after this moment passes. You are not the same. You have walked through obedience, refinement, purpose, and sealing, and emerged radiant, steady, and crowned. Now heaven watches as you take what was spoken here and carry it into the world. These messages were never meant to stay in one heart. They are seeds designed to multiply. Somewhere, someone is waiting for light, for hope, for confirmation that they, too, are chosen, and you, beloved, may be the bridge that delivers it. If this journey has stirred something sacred within you, help it travel further. Like this message as a way of saying, "I receive." Share it so that another searching soul can find the same fire. Subscribe to stay close to this flow of divine revelation, because each new word will build upon the one before it, guiding you deeper into destiny. And as you go, let your voice join the chorus of faith. Comment what resonated in your heart, the sentence or moment that met you where you were. Your words may be the answer to someone else's silent prayer. Heaven often hides miracles inside conversations, and yours could be one of them. Thank you for walking this journey faithfully, for reading with reverence, and for letting the Spirit speak through stillness. The story continues not here, but in you. Keep the light alive. Chosen one, the world needs what heaven has placed within you.